Good evening and welcome. I'm going to call the regular meeting of the Nevada City Public Arts Commission to order. Today is Wednesday, July 2nd, 2025, and it is 5:31 p.m. I'd like to ask Commissioner Clark to read the land recognition.
We acknowledge that the Nisenan people are still here among us today, though nearly invisible. We understand that we are on Nisenan land that was never ceded, and the original tribal families have yet to recover from the near genocide of their people. As a resident or visitor in Nisenan land, we support the Nevada City Rancheria Nisenan tribe in efforts to stabilize their people, as well as their campaign to restore federal recognition.
Thank you. And can we all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Deputy Clerk, roll call, please.
That's me tonight. I'll take it, though. That's an upgrade from what I usually get called. Commissioner Arianes.
Here.
Commissioner Schwartz. Commissioner Arbex is out this evening. Commissioner Wilcox-Barnes.
Here.
Commissioner Clark.
Here.
Vice Chair Harney.
Here.
And Chair Negrete.
Here. All right, so our first presentation is the staff liaison transition, and our thank you to Lisa McCandless. And this is presented by Sean.
So as you see, Lisa is not here this evening, so she took on this role. You know, she already has a commission to run in the Planning Commission, and really thanks to her for helping me and helping all of you over the last year and 4 months now, 5 months now that we're into this. It started because as the liaison to the Planning Commission, she would be bringing public art applications here, so it seemed like a natural fit. But certainly she has a regular job to do in addition to those other things. And so all of our staff, all of our management team have some committee or commission or something. And so Brittany is moving, or has moved, from our finance supervisor role to our finance manager role. This will be her, at least for the next year, this will be her liaison assignment. So you've seen her before. She's been here and clerking and doing those activities. Gabby, our deputy city clerk, is off this week, enjoying a concert somewhere. So that's why we're tag teaming it this way. But wanted to say thank you to Lisa. She will be around if there's any, public art applications that come through, anything that touches the Planning Commission, or if she just feels like coming to say hi. I'm sure she'll be in. But for the at least probably the rest of the calendar year, it'll be the Brittany with a little bit of Sean show. So.
Great.
All right. Well, thank you to Lisa for
If Lisa's
helping us through that first.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like she put so much of her heart and energy into this, and we wouldn't have made it without her. So Lisa, if you're listening, thank you.
Yes.
There's no
definitely.
doubt that
Yeah.
the Champ Gallery, the painted pianos, the things that we've done would not have helped. I mean, she had help, obviously, Mira and others on the commission and other staff, but it was absolutely her, initiative and drive and desire to make it as good as possible that made it work. And including that, she sent out the information on the 2025 Don't Be Afraid of the Dark photo contest. So she's still working on that with Truckee and the Arts Council, as well as the Cultural District. So information is online at the sierrasun.com/dark skies photo. So similar kind of competition as last year, except for last year we split up where you submitted. This year you can submit it all in one place, but you can pick where you're from and where the photos are. And I'm sure that's going to be another pretty cool project. So thanks again to Lisa for that as well.
And welcome, Brittany. Yay. We'll try not to drive you crazy.
And Brittany is the one that, if you don't remember, is the piano that's in the alcove here as you're coming into. She started painting on First Friday Art Walks. So that is played and painted at the same time. And she had help painting it as well from folks. And it will also, at the request of the Chamber of Commerce, be out there for Hot Summer Nights.
Awesome.
And so Ludi will be playing it when it's out there. He'll have his keyboard and his, flute and whatever else he chooses to play while he's out there as well. But So a cool piece of art that's playable also.
Is that the
Wonderful.
second or the third piano?
That's the third. There's one in Robinson Plaza, which moved from one side of the plaza to the other, and the other one was in front of the pizza joint, now is in front of the Rose Market.
And so Ursula Young has completed hers? That one's,
In front of Rose Market.
Right,
Okay,
that's the
awesome.
octopus one, yeah.
no, Ursula's was like the California Poppy and,
Oh, that one's in Robinson's.
okay, yeah, awesome.
Okay, then we're going to move on to a presentation from Leslie Barbazette, the founder of Wolfcraft School and Collective. Welcome.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me, Commissioners. I'm happy to be here and talk a little bit about Wolfcraft. So I guess I'll start with, I have brought a presentation.
She's pulling
Getting
it.
Oh,
it
you're
up
pulling it
right
up,
now,
okay.
yeah.
So I guess I'll start with, so Wolfcraft is sort of two different entities right now. We've got a place over here at the Tinnery, and then we're also building a campus on Wolf Road in South County. So I'm going to go through both of those and then talk about how they're going to coexist. So in general, Wolfcraft is a hub for community and craftsmanship, a place to gather, learn, share, and preserve traditional handcraft skills. Our mission is to offer transformative experiences. Craft schools all across the country provide immersive retreat-like experiences, and we're hoping that Wolfcraft School will bring this rich tradition to our community. We'll offer flexible memberships and classes, craft expertise from artists and educators, a sense of community and inclusivity. So why Nevada County? So my family settled here in the 1850s and have been here for generations. My family owned the land that the fairgrounds is now on. And in the 1950s, my great-grandmother ran the Bret Harte Inn with her husband. So I came here first time when I was 8 to see the graves and have come back quite a bit to camp, to go to the Yuba, to visit friends, eat at Ike's, shop on Broad Street, all the things throughout like my adulthood. So when it came to find a place for the school, this just definitely kept calling me and definitely gave me a sense of belonging that I haven't really had anywhere else when, you know, I always grew up with my mom telling me that like our people are from here. So it's really great to be back here. So from a cultural tourism and economic development standpoint, we're hoping to position the school as a destination for creativity and hands-on learning that'll boost cultural tourism by attracting visitors who seek to have an authentic, immersive experience. And while they're here, they'll hopefully be spending money at the restaurants and shopping in their downtime. And then we're just hoping to draw first-time visitors that can discover Nevada County and all the things that it has to offer. So the project on Wolf Road is 15 acres. It's about 3/4 of a mile from Highway 49. We are a nonprofit. Wolfcraft School is a nonprofit. The Wolfcraft Collective is the for-profit. So that's me, and I will be the landlord of the school. So I'll be building the buildings and then renting it to the school, which is the nonprofit. We anticipate having between 4 and 10 full-time employees. Students will be 40 total, that's what our use permit, we have a conditional use permit with the county, 30 overnight guests, and the age requirement is around 16 if not accompanied by adults, but we are planning on having summer camps and things like that, and then 18 if you're going to stay overnight without an adult. We plan to have permaculture gardens, plant dyes, and other materials. We are excited about having chickens and ducks and sheep for wool and alpacas. We've been talking to Heartwood about doing a food truck, so that's in the works. Hopefully, Tony's parents live next door to me, so hopefully that can come to fruition at some point. And we're planning on having cabins on raised platforms where people would park underneath. So when you drive up, you don't really see a bunch of cars. Whether or not those cabins are tent cabins or permanent cabins in phase 1 is really down to the funding. Ideally, it's permanent cabins because that just elongates the seasonality and longevity of, you can, in the high summer and the cold winter, we can still have classes and have people be comfortable. So in phase 1, we're having 3 classrooms, and I'll take you through the renderings of what those look like. Phase 2, we're going to add 2 more. And then classes will vary in length from weekly classes, so like a Wednesday night pottery class in our ceramic studio, that's just a few hours long, to 1 to 2 days, to week-long experiences. The class sizes will be kept small, like 10 to 12 people max. And then this is the site plan. So at the top where the residence is, that dining area, that's a really flat part of the property, which is where people will spend a lot of time when they're not in class. And then we've got an NID canal going through the property into a really large pond. So up at the top, it's really shady and lovely. And then just down, so from the cabins all the way down to Wolf Road is a hill. So the cabins are kind of along this ridge line and have this beautiful sunset view across this valley. So they'll be overlooking the barn and the ceramic studio. So the wood shop and the metal shop are the phase 2 classes. And then the studios on the other side of the driveway overlook the pond, which are really beautiful. And then on the pond, we're planning on having 4 cabins that'll be like on little docks over the pond.
Charming.
And then an office when you drive up. And then the gardens, I'm hoping to get in with Sierra Harvest and have, gardens that can be part of the whole network of Sierra Harvest. So that's the long-term goal there. So phase 1 design, this is the view from across the street. As you can see, there's a lot of foliage. We had concerns from the neighbors around, when we got our conditional use permit, around visibility and, not wanting it to look really commercial. The buildings are going to be made of Corten steel, which will really blend well into the kind of the terracotta landscape of the dirt. So, I'm hoping that everyone will see that even though you're not going to be able to see it from the road, that when you get up and see it, that it's really tastefully done and it's a plus to the community in terms of property values and not a negative. So this is kind of the view from what our neighbors across the street will have. So here is the 2 classrooms that we're going to build in phase 1 in addition to the ceramic studio. And then once we build the wood shop and the metal shop, the one on the left will turn into a fiber studio, and the one on the right is a general classroom. We have updated the design of this a little bit to actually, instead of having 2 like this, to have 1 long classroom. A lot of these were done in the beginning, and now that we're actually finalizing the site design after our conditional use permit, we're kind of looking through the what makes the most sense and what's going to be affordable for building. And I'm working with Richard Baker. He's our construction manager, and he was an architect, so he's been incredibly helpful with well, what if you did this? What if you did that? And so we're working through that. So these look a little different than the final product, but the overall look and feel will be the same. So standing seam Corten steel with roll-up doors, so you can have really indoor-outdoor kind of feeling. And then here we have the barn and the ceramic studio. The barn isn't going to be open to the public. It'll be for the animals. It's not going to be like wedding barn or anything like that. It'll be a working barn. And then the ceramic studio, which we're really excited about, we're planning on having 18 wheels. So it'll be a fully operating place mainly for locals. When we were thinking through what were the studios that we were going to do first, I wanted to make sure that we had a place where locals could come and have memberships and somewhere where they went regularly, because ceramics is one of those things. It's hard to do just a one-off ceramics class unless you're already a potter and you want to do mold making or something like that. But an intro class for people that want to learn ceramics, it's an investment in time. So that would be something that really is more of a locals thing. And then meals and downtime. So we're going to do a food truck at first just to make sure that that's something that our students want from us. So I've been working with Amy from Environmental Health on what does a kind of a temporary situation look like that's not necessarily coming and going all the time, but is a place that people can have food and dinner and relax and watch movies at night and project movies, or just hang out. And you're working all day with these people and meeting them, and then if you stay on the property at night, you have something to do. Or you can come to town and have dinner. Mm-hmm. So these are the platform cabins. So like I said, depending on funding, there'll either be tent cabins or fully just simple cabins, but cute. So there will be 11 at the top and 4 at the bottom. So the crafts we're offering are, definitely want to do a lot of agriculture when it comes to, like, especially how it ties into fiber, fiber arts, pottery, blacksmithing, woodworking, doing permaculture gardening. And, you know, this is definitely something that is really prevalent in our community. So just tapping into that, we have so much expertise here. So being able to offer that, especially for people coming in that don't know Nevada County, just tapping into that expertise that they can then bring elsewhere in their community. Fiber arts, so that's a sweater that we sell yarn that is made from alpacas that our neighbors own. So that's a sweater. So one of the first ideas I had about this school was like a sheep to sweater class or an alpaca to sweater class. Just going through the whole supply chain that we're so disconnected to. You know, we have like farm to table, but like we need that for our clothes. So that kind of idea where, you know, you're coming in for a week and you're really learning the whole processing. Today I was at a fiber mill in Grass Valley, which is amazing. It was really wonderful to see that people are still doing it. It's on a really small scale, but people are still doing it. So how to take it from, you know, these big machineries to, you know, just doing it by hand and how to get all the way there. And then pottery, like I mentioned. Oh, going back to pottery, so we're working through, you know, in pottery, there's different kinds of firing, there's gas firing, there's electric. We're going to do both, but then there's also really cool atmospheric firing, like wood firing and soda firing. So we're hoping to do a lot of that through our potty talk that we have up at the studio. It's an opportunity for potters to come together from all over the county because there are so many amazing potters here, and a lot of them don't know each other. They're in all these different kind of, you know, communities of potters, and so having them come together and share knowledge and expertise and resources has been really great. And so I'm excited about that just getting bigger. And so working with a lot of them as we craft what it looks like on the, you know, what kind of clays we're going to get, and also how to forage the wild clay of our land and how to process that. So there's so much opportunity that we can have to make it the best studio that's going to really service the community. So I'm excited about that. And then blacksmithing and woodworking, which will really come into its own in phase 2 when they have their own studios, but we'll be able to do some of that, you know, just on the land because blacksmithing is generally outside. So we'll be able to have little areas for that. And then general crafts. So the general crafts is really kind of what we're doing here at our studio. So shoemaking, printmaking, broom making. So when it comes to the nationwide impact of craft schools on rural demographics, they can really catalyze demographic shifts and economic growth in the areas where they're established. There's definitely, like, they can avoid brain drain, which is like when young people who grow up in an area move to cities. Places like craft schools can help retain young people that want to be creative and want to get jobs in that kind of area. There's, you know, artisanal tourism, which I mentioned earlier, and then it helps diversify the economies that just have relied heavily on agriculture in the past to give another opportunity, such as sale of handmade goods. You know, it would be wonderful to have someone take a class, get excited about something, and then make that thing and sell it, you know, to become an entrepreneur. So like I mentioned, so once we got our use permit back in October, we started opening, we opened up the itinerary in December for classes, and this was a really great way for us to meet teachers, to grow our student population, see what works, what doesn't work. And at first we were like, oh, this is, you know, great marketing, because we got a lot of press and attention when we were getting our use permit. And we didn't want to just disappear while we were building and then come back 2 years later and be like, hey, remember us? So this was a really great way, you know, for us to stay present and in the Nevada City community. And it's been so fulfilling to be part of a community. You know, we have a lot of like evening classes where instead of, people going to dinner, they're coming and, they're doing a mending class, or they're doing something where they're meeting people, they're having community, and they're, mending their clothes, which is something that's, a pile of clothes have been sitting on their chair for years, and they don't want to get rid of it, but it's all part of like how to elongate the things in your life that you love. So once we open on the land while we're building, we definitely want to keep it open, because I do feel like it services a different student. But these are the kind of classes that we have coming up. So we've got brooms coming up in September. We do a lot of fermentation classes that have been really popular. Tonight, starting at 6, we have a crochet class. We're doing a watercolor class on making a mini oracle deck, a sandal class and a mule class that have been really popular. Doing a kids camp in August for pottery. Leora Coronel is teaching jewelry classes, which have been really, really popular. And working with Leora has been great. When I first approached her, I was like, oh, do you want to do classes? And she's like, she teaches one-on-one classes at her studio, but her studio is really small. And so, she can only do one at a time. And so I was like, well, let's do classes at Wolfcraft. And she's like, it's a big investment for machinery. You need cabbing machines, which are like $1,800. You get like all the setup and everything. And I was like, well, if I got all that, would you do it? And so we partnered together, and we've found cabbing machines. We got the whole setup, and we did practice classes, because up till then she'd only been doing like one at a time. So seeing like how many she could stretch to. So we got a setup we did a practice class for 4 people. She felt comfortable with that. And now we do classes for 6 people. And we have classes set up like all throughout the year, and they're selling out. It's been really great. And so this is also just another income stream for artists that, she gets to do her thing, and then she gets to do this. And we have her fan base is growing, because we have students that keep coming over and over to her classes that love it. So then there's a whole track of doing more advanced classes. And so working with Leora has been incredibly successful. It's just been a really great partnership. So finding artists like that we can partner with has been really fun. So we have ceramics, just hand building. We don't have any wheels, but doing hand building classes. We're doing that this weekend. The mending classes, we're doing basket weaving, and then other kind of lost wax casting jewelry, and then beaded jewelry. And then we're doing branch weaving, which is really interesting. And this is kind of, we did a branch weaving class, back, I think it was in March, and I did a little reel. I generally, on Instagram, will do a reel of the class. And something about branch weaving, the Instagram algorithm loves it. And there's like 1 million views on this online branch weaving reel. It's pretty wild, and every time I do a reel on branch weaving, it goes viral. And so because of that, there's a lot of people that are commenting, like, will you do this online? Will you do this online? And that's just, hundreds of comments asking for online classes. And so the instructor and I figured it out, and we did an online branch weaving class, and it sold out in a day. We did 2 different classes. We sold over 100 seats in 2 days, which was wild. And then we started selling the recording, which is, it's wild. And you never know what's going to hit, right? And so we were like, oh, I guess online classes is a good opportunity. And we have people from Brazil, from Chile, from the UK, from Australia, from Germany. And so, I figured out Zoom with translation. And so we have people from all over the world now. And so as we're building this campus that's going to have lodging, we're getting people that are like, oh, I want to come to Nevada County, that are from Germany that have never heard of it. So it's really exciting to find this whole new avenue of doing classes that can also bring people to us, which is very unexpected. So that's been really fun. So then when it comes to the studio versus the land, so the studio will focus on shorter skill building classes and community events. Like we just had an auction cocktail party last weekend, which was really, really fun. the audience is local residents and day or weekend visitors, doing seasonal series of things, pop-ups, artist-led demos, and community gatherings. So this is really great to have an accessible in-town option for people that live here that, want to come and shop and take a class or go to dinner, and they can come up for a whole day and have a whole experience out. So with 500 projected visitors this year, we're definitely driving local economic activity while anchoring year-round arts programming and living wage jobs and, giving artists another whole income stream. And then the land, we will focus more on immersive, longer format classes with on-site lodging. So this is more for destination learners from out of town or local ceramic students. So intensive kind of retreat-like experiences, with fiber arts, blacksmithing, woodworking, and disciplines that require more space and machinery than what can be offered up at the Tinnery. And because it's outdoors, it definitely feels like you're camping, and it's wild because as soon as you hit this part of 49 where, kind of the Auburn, like suburbia kind of fades away and you really get into the woods and you just make a left on Wolf, and within 3/4 of a mile you feel like you're in the middle of nowhere, but you're so close to everything, which is it's 2 hours from the Bay Area, it's less than an hour from Sac, so it's accessible for people that want to come up for a weekend or take a week long. So yeah, we're hoping to combine immersive craft with cultural tourism and create jobs for the local economy. So when it comes to timeline, so been at this since 2020. It took us 3.5 years to get a use permit, which was definitely longer than the 6 to 8 months I was told when I started this program, this project. But we're on the other side of it, and so where we're at now is, offering classes at the Tinnery and learning and growing and pivoting and, really growing our student population and our teachers and finishing the site design, and we're fundraising in a big way. We're applying for permits, like our grading permit is with the county right now, so hopefully we'll get that. So once we secure funding, we'll be able to break ground. And so that'll either be, a long shot this summer, because after August, it's kind of a no-go until next spring. So in all likelihood, it's probably going to be next spring is breaking ground. And then we're looking at probably 2 years until we're opening the doors. So in conclusion, so what we're doing here is trying to enrich the arts and cultures of Nevada County, investing in the community, creating jobs, supporting local businesses, attracting visitors, and providing an income stream for local artists to teach classes. And that's it.
Thank you very much, Leslie. Do we have any questions or comments from commissioners?
Yeah, thank you. What an incredible vision, and thank you so much for building the arts economy here. I feel like you already touched on this, but I was so inspired reading on your website. You said, "We believe that traditional craft is more than just a skill. It's a way to reclaim agency in a consumer-driven world." And I was really inspired by that. And I feel like you already spoke to that, but if you have anything else to share about your philosophy, I think what you have going on is
Yeah.
really incredible.
I mean, I think we get so disconnected as consumers that, you get everything at the click of a button now. It's hard to really see what something is worth, like really what it's worth, what it takes to make something when you have, I worked in fashion for 20 years, and so I definitely have contributed to that consumer economy, and stepping back from it and really seeing like what does it take to make a sweater? What is that? It's a lot of money to actually make a sweater, from tending the animals, where you get that fiber and feeding them all year round. At least they're little lawnmowers too, so that's handy. But, from that to cleaning all that fiber, to processing it, to spinning it, to knitting it, to designing the sweater, to making it fit right, all of those things, it's a skill. And as a community, not just our community, but, as a global community, we're really losing that. And I think it's so important for people to get back into really just craft. And, who knows what's going to happen with the world. And it's always good to know how to do something with your hands and just, I don't want to get into like prepper survival things, but I think that just the more you know how to do and make and work with your community and trade and, the alpacas down the road, if they don't use their fiber, you can trade with them for something that you do have. And so I think it's part of where we need to go as an economy and in a community.
Absolutely, and we all know how destructive, like, fast fashion is and
Yeah.
how, detrimental it is to the environment. Are you looking for any artist facilitator recommendations or people like that,
I mean, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a lot of people reach out to me through the website of if you're an artist or a teacher, like, please reach out to me and let me know that's how I found most of artists to teach. Like at first, at the end of last year, it was a perfect timing because it was all the craft fairs. So I would go around and go to the different craft fairs and talk to people. And that's how I found a lot of teachers. But now it's really people coming to me. So yeah, if you're listening, contact me.
Wonderful.
Because it's definitely good to see kind of like what we did with Leora. Like Hannah Martin is a really great ceramic artist, and she's teaching the paint palette class, and she wanted to do a test run. And so that's something that I'm more than happy to do, is do a practice class to make sure that the teachers, because transitioning from being an artist to teaching that art is not seamless. There's a lot of things that you have to kind of work through and make sure that you can really verbalize the steps in a way that brings people along. And so I'm happy to kind of be that facilitator and work with artists to help them feel comfortable teaching people. So yeah, if there's artists out there that want to teach their craft, please contact me.
Wonderful. Thank you. So inspiring. I work for Chirp, and we're right below you.
Yes, you are.
So I've been running into Leora, and I would love to take some classes
Awesome.
there, so
Yeah,
thank you.
yeah, I see
Yeah.
Ember all the time.
Yeah.
She's great.
She is, yes.
Anything else?
Yeah, just also, thank you. I feel really energized by your vision, and I've been on your website as just a interested party and obviously didn't know about the big kahuna, and wishing you all the luck. And yeah, just seeing a lot of parallels between some of our broader visions for supporting a sustainable art economy and also cultivating and fostering young artists in town. And, we're still in sort of our early days of honing our strategic plan and what our specific goals are and how we accomplish it. But it's so great to learn about the work that's already being done in the community and how we can amplify your message and create that just exchange of people and visions. And yeah,
Yeah, I'd love to partner and figure out how we could do something together.
yeah,
I'm here. I'm here for that.
great.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me.
Thank you, Leslie. Okay, so we'll move on to public comment. Government Code Section 54954.3 provides that any member of the public may address the commission on any matter not on the agenda that's within the subject matter jurisdiction of the commission. The Brown Act, with limited exceptions, does not allow the commission or staff to discuss issues brought forth under public comment. The commission cannot take action on non-agenda items. Concerns may be referred to staff or placed on a future agenda. Please note that comments from the public will also be taken on each agenda item at the time it's heard. Speakers must adhere to the meeting procedures identified above. Do we have any public comment?
I'll give a public comment.
Woo! Yes, step right up.
I'm Adam. I live on Long Street. This light's. Stop touching it.
Just speak up.
Is this thing on? Hi, commissioners. I'm here to invite you to the meeting happening in this room a week from tonight. I'm looking forward to giving some remarks that will talk about what I hope to focus on in Harvard's mayor. And you guys will hopefully get a part of that. There's a lot to be performing arts in particular. And I look forward to some of your creativity as well as the year progresses.
Are you still going to come to our meetings when you're mayor, Adam?
I'm married right now.
Are you going to?
And he's here.
That's so great.
No, absolutely not. I'm a big shot.
Yeah, you'll have a person for that. Thank you.
Any more public comments? All right, then we will move on to the consent agenda. And all items listed under the consent agenda are considered to be routine in nature and will be approved by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items before we take action on the consent calendar. We will hear any public comment on the consent calendar items only. Do we have any public comment on the consent item, which includes the action minutes from the June 4th, 2025 regular Public Arts Commission and the calendared agenda items and commission requests for future presentations and actions? Any public comment? All right, then I'm looking for a motion and a second to approve the consent calendar.
I motion to approve the consent calendar.
I second that.
Okay, I have a motion by Commissioner Clark and a second by Commissioner Arianis. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Arianis.
Aye.
Commissioner Schwartz, not here, as well as Commissioner Arbex. Commissioner Wilcox Barnes.
Aye.
Commissioner Clark.
Aye.
Vice Chair Harney.
Aye.
And Chair Negrete.
Aye.
Passes 5-0.
All right, then we'll move on to business. And item number 3 is consideration of selection of the theme for the September through December 2025 City Hall Arts Meets the Public program installation, the Champ Gallery. And that's presented by Sean Grayson.
That
Oh,
one's going to be presented by me. So as you know, the installation that is currently out there is going to be taken down in the beginning of September. So tonight we're here to select the themes. I put together a Mentimeter, so if you guys want to log in through your devices, I'll go ahead and show it up on the TVs. And please tell me if you want me to go a little faster or a little bit slower. We can get you.
Turn my phone off.
Okay. We're just gonna pull up all of the themes and stuff that you guys have already decided. Feel free to add more if you would like. And then we'll talk about what each of those are. And then the last 2 slides are gonna be the interactive slides where you'll choose your top favorites. And then out of those favorites, we'll vote on a single theme and then we'll be done.
Heck yeah.
So let me know when you guys are all ready.
I think we're all at the same, there's a,
Little thumbs
just
up.
a welcome page with a thumbs up.
Yeah, she hasn't started it yet.
Oh, so we don't have to do anything else?
No.
Okay,
We're
got
good.
it. Oh, those are all our thumbs up.
Those are all our just here clicking them. Oh, like millions of thumbs.
We're like, it's good, we like it.
Somebody.
Okay, so we're good, right?
So excited.
Before we get going,
Okay.
Yes.
So we're gonna go through this, but are we voting, doing things as we go along through this?
In the very end, the last 2 slides will give you the option to select your favorites, and then we'll select the favorite of those favorites. So the first, I think about 12 or 13 slides are just informational. They're just going to tell you about the themes that you've already selected and then what each theme, encompasses. And then at the end, you'll choose which ones you.
So I just had a question before we get to the voting part on it. And I
Yeah.
don't know when it's probably, since some of these themes seem to be really focused around certain months, how do we,
Just don't vote
do
for
we
them.
just forget them for now,
Yeah.
but keep them on the list for
Yeah.
those certain months?
Yeah, I think what we'll do moving forward is the themes that you select this time will fall off of this list. And so the next time we'll go through and
That's what I needed
until
to
we
know.
run out or until you guys tell me to put them back on there.
Because there's some really good themes, but they're not
Yeah.
appropriate right now.
Perfect. Okay, so as I said, that first week of September is going to be the installation date. And let's just go through what our proposed timeline is. After the theme selection tonight, we'll put a call to artist out on Monday. That'll stay open through July 31st. At your guys' next meeting, August 6th, we will, you guys will choose the selections of the exhibit. And then we'll install that the first week of September. So once we have that installed, we're going to have an event opening on September 24th. So you'll have more details of that a little later.
Can I just ask a quick question about installation? Are you taking over with that? How confident do you feel with the hanging system?
As confident as you're going to help me.
Oh, okay.
I've never hung
Okay.
anything, so I'm open to whatever suggestions, whatever recommendations that there are.
Maybe I have your email. I'll email you my hanging instructions. I'm only saying that because September is when I'm doing like a huge redo of Upaseyu, so my schedule might be a little hectic, so I can definitely offer support. I just don't know how available I'll be, so perhaps another commission member can plug in, and I'll give you some really thorough direction.
Wonderful.
Okay.
Yeah, sounds great. Okay, so starting with the themes, let me see. We have 12 themes overall that we're going to discuss. So like I said, please let me know if you want me to speed up or slow down or cover more information or kind of go through it a little bit faster. So the first one is One World and Many Journeys. And this is a visual celebration of global connection, international travel, and shared experiences that unite us. This reflects the idea that all international citizens and that across cultures, languages, and landscapes, we have more in common than we often realize. It can be personal travel experiences, cultural exchanges, or reflections on humanity's interconnectedness. It could be explore how movement, migration, and exploration shape our collective story. Theme 2 is going to be Roots and Routes, and it talks about Nevada City is more than just a place. It's a tapestry woven from the stories, histories, and journeys of those who call it home. Maybe it'll include artists, poets, or photographers. You can seek art that explores where we come from, what our roots are, our traditions, and our ancestral histories, what routes we have traveled to arrive here. What routes we have traveled. And it may include family migration, cultural traditions, personal journeys, shared experiences, and the exhibition will honor the resilience, beauty, and strength that diversity brings to our community. So our third theme is community resilience, and the focus would be art that reflects community projects, collaborative efforts, ways that the community can come together historically, or the ways the community has come together historically, and visions building stronger community, including the non-human realms. It could include art that is representative of existing community projects, humans working towards a common cause, humans working collaboratively with nature, local farms and farmers, the creative community, in its myriad of creative manifestations. Theme 4 is going to be The Past Didn't Go Anywhere, or Bridges. This one's a little bit long, so it's got 3 slides. So the next 2 slides are going to be the same theme. So the focus could be art that represents how history informs the present and the future, socially, culturally, ecologically, and how the past is a bridge to the present, informs the way we live. How we can create better futures by honoring the truth of the past. It could include landscape photos and art of the Diggins, indigenous art, poetry that acknowledges the impacts of history, and then we have a poem on the next page. So this poem is, time is an enormous long river, and I'm standing in it just as you're standing in it. My elders are the tributaries, and everything they thought and every struggle they went through and everything they gave their lives to and every song they created and every poem that they laid down flows down to me. And if I take the time to ask, and if I take the time to see, and if I take the time to reach out, I can build that bridge between my world and theirs. I can reach down into that river and take out what I need to get through this world. From Utah Phillips.
Nice job.
Thank you. Okay, so theme 5 is Mountains and Rivers Without End. This could focus on local art, local poetry, local writing that features the watershed and the community that lives here. We could get part of the quilt project on the San Juan Ridge possibly to display here.
I'm gonna say that that's not in any way a realistic expectation, so.
Because it's so famous now?
Because it's literally cut into pieces to fit in the assembly there and the size and the dimension of what we have here. You know, if you want to explore that someday, great, but I wouldn't, for tonight's
That's fair.
theme selection, don't, you know, I wouldn't.
Don't count on it.
Exactly.
Okay, so the next theme is Hidden in Plain Sight, and this is about the details of Nevada City. So we could focus on the small yet remarkable architectural, historical, and natural details that make Nevada City unique. Its ornate ironwork, historic plaques, brick patterns, hand-painted signs, century-old doors, or even the way the light hits a particular street corner. It could tie to current events, such as highlighting Nevada City's ongoing historic preservation efforts and the ways the past informs the present. It could tie into local walking tours, restoration projects, or History Month celebrations. The mediums could be photography, painting, sketches, sculpture, or poetry that captures these intricate details, perhaps even interactive art that encourages visitors to seek out these details in person. Theme 7 is the Faces of Nevada City, the past and present. Could be celebrating the people who shape our town. And so that focus is unique characters of Nevada City, historical figures, modern-day residents, unsung heroes, and local legends. And now is a great time to honor the individuals who have left a mark on Nevada City while also fostering a sense of connection and shared history. As a community, we experienced a lot of divisiveness in recent years, and this exhibit offers a way to bring people together on a human level, recognizing the faces, stories, and lives that shape our town. Theme 8 is going to be, this is 7 still. So we could, the Faces of Nevada City, past and present, could include portraits, written pieces, sculptures, or mixed media projects that capture the essence of individuals who define the town. So theme 8 is Emergence, and this is a Pride-themed exhibit. The focus is coming out, coming through, and revealing hidden layers. It ties to current events, the LGBTQ Pride, and artists reclaiming space post-pandemic. It could include queer narratives, surreal transformation imagery, and works that play with hidden and revealed elements. The community engagement, we can invite local artists, local LGBTQ artists to submit their work. Theme 9,
Move through 9 and 10.
move through it.
That are like more time specific, or
Yeah.
do we want to read them?
I think, because Rites of Spring is not something we're going to probably do in the
Okay.
autumn or fall, so
Okay.
we can hold on to that for
10
future.
as well?
Yes, it's
Yeah.
April.
Yeah.
How about
Okay.
year-round Christmas? Is that a theme that we have?
Year-round Christmas.
That's number 13. Bloom and Resistance, you want me to go through that one as well?
Yes, I think
Skip.
skip.
So let me write
Let's
that
start
down.
on 11, because
Yeah.
that's kind of where we're moving into the fall.
Okay, so 11 is Voices from the Margins. This is art that brings to light overlooked or suppressed narratives from Nevada City and California's past and present. From indigenous history to immigrant experiences to hidden labor stories, California and Nevada City are full of voices that have been left out of dominant narratives. This could include works by or about underrepresented communities such as farm workers, unhoused individuals, LGBTQ elders. Theme 12 is Poetic Justice, and this is in April. Do you want me to go through that one too?
Let's maybe
No?
skip
Okay.
that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Skip 12. Okay,
Before we vote, can we talk for a sec?
yes.
Yes.
Can we talk?
Yeah, let's talk.
I was just thinking about some lessons learned that we've had, and what strikes me is, I think, you know, as we're still trying to pick up momentum with the Champ Gallery, we had a lot of success in our first iteration. It was very broad, anyone could feel connected to it, and it invited artists from all over. Our second one, we went narrower, and we did kind of struggle to gain some traction. So I just, personally, I'm thinking about wanting to call in like kind of as broad swath of artists as possible and themes that can be interpreted in a way that, you know, many, many artists will be attached to.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And I also think youth is like a particularly challenging demographic to reach just because they're busy with school and they haven't really established themselves as professional artists. And we had a lot of submissions because we have a really rich arts community. And, you know, this will be open to people of all ages. So I think,
Yeah.
I think we will do better this time.
Cool. And I would say, when we do pick the top theme, can we talk about if we want to like edit, like before the artist call goes out, just for like clarity, because some of it's a little like, wow, which is cool,
Yeah.
but yeah, how we can make it.
Yeah. We have 3 weeks to promote the artist call, is that correct, before, or 4
It'll
weeks?
go on the 7th and it closes on the 31st.
Okay, so yeah, we have a shortish window,
Yeah.
but
And Sean, correct me if I'm wrong, but these are not set in stone, right? If there's additional themes or
Yeah.
topics
No, not at all.
that you
These
guys
are
want
just-
to add to it, you feel free.
That's what we presented last time.
It took us a long time to get here, I don't know though. Unless, I mean, if somebody does have an idea that they'd like to bring forth right now that has like been inspiring them and they want to add to the list.
I would suggest let's vote, let's see
See what
what we have,
happens.
and then if there's like a final one that needs just like a little tweaking, we want to make it a little broader, more appealing to more local artists, then we do that then.
And if you ever, like, something pops in your head at 2 o'clock in the morning, you write it down in your journal, you know, send it to us and we'll add it to the list for the next time for
Right.
consideration, so that we can have a growing list that shrinks every time you take one off.
So we may choose up to 3 and it's not in order, like they're equally, whatever we tap
Oh, okay.
first isn't like a higher ranking than the second tap and the third tap.
Correct.
Okay.
Everyone's gonna vote for the Rite of Spring.
I'm done.
I love that this show's live. We should play music.
I'm not looking, I don't want to, it's not going to influence me.
Gonna add theme of the bear claw earrings.
Wow.
Already
I would-
made those.
I would submit them.
Can't say bear claw the night that Kathy doesn't bring dessert.
It's an actual bear claw.
Well, thinking of.
I'll go down to communal, hold on.
Okay, this says 5 out of 5. I'm assuming that means everybody's voted.
Oh, yay.
Oh, look at that, there's top 3.
Yep.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Okay, so let me write this down. So number 2, so selection 1 is going to be number 2, Roots and Routes, the Many Threads of Nevada City. If you want, we can go back to that screen as well if you wanted to see it. And then number 6 is Hidden in Plain Sight, the Details of Nevada City. And number 7 is Faces of Nevada City, Past and Present. So those are going to be your top 3. So do you want to look again at what the details are? Do you want to discuss anything before we make the final vote for out of those 3?
We all like Nevada City.
I remember them pretty well.
Okay, perfect. So then this is going to be the top 3. So like I said, the first selection is number 2.
Okay, that part, can you read again so we know?
Number 2 is Roots and Routes, the Many Threads of Nevada City. You want more information than that? No? Okay, so your selection number 2 is going to be number 6, which is Hidden in Plain Sight, the Details of Nevada City, celebrating architectural and historic details. Number 7 is your third selection, which is going to be Faces of Nevada City, Past and Present, celebrating the people who shape our town.
Okay.
The votes are in.
All right.
Okay?
Are they?
So number 6 is the selection, which is Hidden in Plain Sight, the Details of Nevada City.
Did you vote for the wrong?
No, I did not vote for the wrong one. I'm just,
So, just to go over those bullet points, talks about small yet remarkable architectural, historical, and natural details that make Nevada City unique, including the ornate ironwork, historic plaques, brick patterns, hand-painted signs, century-old doors, or even the way the light hits a particular street corner.
May I make a comment about this?
Yes.
I think of these three last themes, that is the most limiting one in terms of content. I feel like the other two themes have broader scope in terms of what artists might be able to submit, but that's just my 2 cents.
I was gonna say about that one, because I like parts of it, but I do feel like it's limiting. So
Yeah.
can we like change?
Yeah, maybe there's like a little modification or
Well, I think one of the, I have to keep going back to this other
the list.
this other agenda. I think one of the things when you were reading it out, so it's celebrating architectural and historic details, but then when you read it, architectural, historical, and natural details is actually in the description, and I think that matters, because otherwise it just sounds like
Okay.
it's only
Architectural.
hand-built, you know,
Yeah.
man-made kinds of things
The light
versus,
playing on the windows.
right, or the
Shadows or-
Kit Kat Dizzy plant, or, you know, that it includes nature and not just architecture.
Because I feel like this has so much potential to like reach so much, but just how it is right now is a little limited.
Well, let's maybe not even say the examples of the ornate ironwork and historic.
Yeah, I don't think
plaques.
that's,
I
I
think
think
we
that
can
was
take
more
that out.
for us.
Like, let people interpret.
Hidden in plain sight, yeah,
The details of Nevada City.
That's what I was gonna say, was take out the description about celebrating architecture. and
Give
historic
them
details.
no prompt.
So just hidden in
Hidden
plain
in
sight, the
plain
details
sight,
of Nevada
what
City.
you
Yeah.
love about the little details of Nevada County.
Whatever that means to you.
That's how, I would agree
That's
with
how I
that.
was
Does
taking it.
everybody feel comfortable with that idea, that it's just the title of the theme versus, I don't know if
I
for the
think
first
some
time
little
around-
bit of prompting description is good, but just keep
I
it
think
broad.
it may be for me a
Yeah.
little bit too broad, maybe, that we may lose a little bit in that, you know.
What about a broad description with examples of things that could fit into that, that include those but aren't
Right.
limited to those
The
things?
broad description.
I think-
Kind of, because it could end up being,
If you put natural in front of all of it, if you said the small yet remarkable natural details, architectural and historical details that make Nevada City unique, then you, the same
Yeah.
content, but you're not focused
Yeah.
on architectural,
Yeah,
just a suggestion.
right,
Yeah,
So
I
the-
don't want to lose like creative interpretation.
Right.
Of like.
Because then you're
Sure, that's
saying the
interesting.
nature, the things, and the
Yeah.
space that we're in.
yeah, as long, yes, I think it's important to keep in though, the, you know, the architecture, little historic details.
yeah, I think
Makes up the
artists,
theme.
that's more than enough in my mind, if I was gonna be doing this, so.
Yeah.
Who's recording that? Is that you, Sean? That records the title?
So we have hidden in plain sight the details of Nevada City, and you want to include the additional descriptors of natural details, architecture, and
I'd
historical.
use it as an example, but not limited
Right,
to.
right.
Yeah.
The focus can be, or I don't know how you would word it, but the small.
the small yet remarkable.
Because
Make Nevada City unique.
I like it because it seems like you can just leave it up to the artist to choose what their little detail of Nevada County that they just love so much.
Yeah.
Whatever that is.
And so, where it talks about the ornate ironwork, historic plaques, do you want those things listed in there, or do you feel like those again are gonna limit the,
Or just list them as examples.
Okay.
And just say like not limited to, here are some possibilities.
okay.
Just make it broad.
Yeah, somebody may, you know, do a photo of the rocks down along Deer Creek and, you know.
Yeah, I mean, people can submit whatever they
Yeah.
want, and
Yeah.
then,
But yes, so just like no to bullet point 2 and 3, don't include.
yeah, I mean, I love the idea of interactive art that encourages visitors to seek them out in person, the details in person, but I don't think that needs to I mean, that's something that could,
I think that would be
Come.
like on our end if we
Right.
were gonna do that.
right,
We would make a little treasure hunt. for them.
right.
So take out bullets 2 and 3. Do you want to have any specific medium requests, or is it?
I think
Any-
it should be
Totally
open.
open.
Okay,
I
Well,
think
isn't
we,
that what bullet 3 is?
yeah.
we
In the
have.
past, we've listed the description of the space, how much
Yeah.
wall square footage we have in the multiple locations, and then that there are opportunities potentially for,
3D
yeah, 3D
sculpture,
art, and then.
but that's like somewhat limited. We can maybe
It is,
fit
but
like
then-
2 pedestals
Yeah,
or.
really.
So.
And we, and you
but
know,
then-
do list the space up top. If someone comes up with something really cool we can suspend in that
Yeah,
hallway, that would be amazing.
we're gonna hang Cashin's airplane up there.
Okay.
It's not in the historical museum, so I don't think we can get it.
Oh, we'd do better hanging, someone else who was a Grass Valley person.
Lyman Gilmore.
I know, but I'm not saying names, but Cashin didn't have an airplane, he just landed on the
He
field.
just had a field.
He had a sulfurette works.
But I love the insight knowledge.
Our low-income housing project, the beautiful Cashin's Field.
Yes.
Is named for the story of him flying an airplane,
Into that field.
landing in that field.
Got it, but people are mad about it. Let's not talk about it.
Well, the Lyman Gilmore story is more truthful than.
Got it.
Okay.
Great.
Is everybody okay with that
Yeah.
selection? The call to artists, it's my first time. I'll work with Lisa and I'll work with
Okay.
Lon and Sean and make sure that we get it to you guys. I believe the Arts Council website and whatever the other
We have the
avenues
list
are.
of who we sent it to, the first go-around, everyone that has applied in the past, whether or not they were selected, and whether or
Oh,
not they
awesome.
actually finally submitted, but if they've
Yeah.
in any way integrated with our website, and then we have people that have reached out and said, you know, they were interested but didn't submit, so we'll just keep that running list of those artists and,
And us as commissioners, let's all share it with
Spread the
our
word.
artist
Yeah.
friends, you know.
please do.
Can I, before we move on from this item, I just want to make one more recommendation for improvement to the artist call. I think I recommended this before, but if there's ever the budget for it, I would recommend as the Champ Gallery progresses and we're doing, you know, bigger calls, or maybe if we ever run kind of a juried show, that we upgrade to a platform like Cafe, which is called to entry. It was on the list of recommendations from the Truckee Public Arts Commission. It's a platform I've used as an artist. It's kind of like considered the leading platform for art submissions. It's
Okay.
really, really convenient as an artist. You can upload your whole portfolio. It makes it really easy. It's free for artists. It would cost the city a little bit per call, so that's the question. But it'll eventually be like way more streamlined. It's customizable. Right now, like if you ever had like 200 entries and you were having to deal with all those artists emailing you photos of their work and needing to sort through all that and track it, I think that would be a real pain.
And that
So that
platform,
platform, it will clean all of that up for
Okay.
you. This is the leading platform for galleries and museums. I can vouch for it as an artist. I love it when a call is just, oh, I'm going to Cafe, I have my portfolio. I just
Okay.
click on these pieces, so.
and it's just CAFE, Cafe?
Cafe, it's callforentry.org. Understandably, we might not have the budget for that right now. I also think it's really wonderful that we haven't been charging artists an entry fee. So if paying for this would mean charging artists, I'd say let's not do it right now, but just something to think about
Okay.
for the future.
All right.
So when we're in Truckee in September, have them pay for a trial of it. We'll be happy to do the trial for them, and we'll use the software, and it'll be fine.
Yeah.
Paid for by them.
Yeah, great. Let's have a try.
I'll put that on my notes.
Thank you.
No, we'll look into that. Thank you.
Do we need to do any kind of official vote on that, or that was our vote, right?
If you're comfortable with that's your vote, then we'll
Okay.
we'll move
great.
forward.
Process, good job.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's really awesome.
Thank you.
She just started Mentimeter yesterday.
Yes.
So she's already an expert.
All right, so item number 4 is the follow-up discussion on opportunities to partner with the Public Arts Commission of Truckee. And we are, that is being presented by Vice Chair Harney? Is that correct?
I think so.
Okay.
Unless you wanna-
Unless you want me to start and then you take it after and say something, yeah. We'll just cut out the middleman.
Introduce me? Okay. Yeah, just firstly, thanks everyone for participating. That was kind of the first time we've like solicited content outside of a meeting, and it worked for me as the evaluator of that qualitative information. You can see the full results at the bottom of the packet. They're huge for some reason. It's bizarre. But, so I think, you know, the objective of all of these conversations is for us to have, for us to be able to provide some direction to the Public Arts Commission of Truckee, so that when we arrive, we've, you know, given them insight into what agenda items would be most useful for us, and they have something to respond to. I will say that they met yesterday and they were given the results of the Mentimeter from like last week. So probably about like 65% of this information. I have some like key themes synthesized from what was provided by this group, but I think what would be most helpful right now is just to kind of generally hear if anything either stood out for you thematically in the results, or if there's anything you just want to like emphasize, like, hey, I really want to make sure that we do this thing or hear about this thing when we go up there. And I think in terms of process, today will be kind of another like information gathering, and then I'll be like, hey, is it cool if I send this as our like final thing to Truckee, and we can do that in like whatever, a couple weeks. So yeah, just want to hear if there's anything like burning that you want to elevate from here, or that you didn't get an opportunity to share.
I think we have quite the thorough packet of questions.
We do.
I just reread Lisa's notes from the May 20th meeting, and like I really like these 3 strong elements of the master plan that she identified were creating public process with community input about potential art piece locations. That was number 1. 2, explore how pieces would interact with their environment and how community members could interact with the art. And 3, provide a funding mechanism for prioritizing public art in the town. So I would love to see us, if we can, at some point, kind of mimic that, pull from those 3 strong themes and create our own 2-year priority list, some sort of version of a master plan. But that's where I want to see us pick Truckee's brain around those. Yeah.
Cool, great. Yeah, I'll say the biggest theme that showed up in our feedback was community engagement and equity, how they engage underrepresented groups, especially when projects are controversial, how they ensure Indigenous representation and equity in public art, and here are some strategies for youth engagement. That was mentioned a couple of times. And then there were several comments on like project planning and site selection. And yeah, and resource and funding opportunities. So I think that was captured in the reflections that we heard from you guys. I can, if there isn't any like further comment, I could just read to you guys my proposed discussion questions to put to them. And I think it's like, you know, I think that the idea would be that they'll just sort of like make an agenda item that's something like community engagement and equity, and we can have more of a candid conversation. And less like, here are 5 questions, we want you to answer them in the flesh. But I don't know, what do you guys think we should do
here, this is me facilitating like a champ.
I think there's two opportunities. One, for us to submit them, essentially interrogatives, right? So they're the questions that you have that you don't want to take up the time, the precious time that you'll have at the meeting, that they could give to us or their staff could give to us, in writing that, like, either illustrates more questions for you or like, cool, I got that.
Yeah.
That would be one piece, and then the other piece would be more, what are the more broader things that you want to discuss when you're up there in the time limits
Yeah.
that are there.
I
if
like,
that makes
I like
sense.
that. I think that's really useful if there's a synthesizing, whatever, process that can happen where we're kind of like, we have our themes that we'll discuss with them, and then all the little extra bits can be things they can respond to at another time, or,
Yeah,
yeah.
I think.
And they could do the same for us, right? So they could send
Totally.
us the, when did you form and how much money did you spend last year and the things that, we could just get you answers to. But you don't have to do any of that.
And I think, yeah, I don't know, I think the master plan like answers some of the, well, kind of, not really, it just gives us some good like direction for how they made their master plan. But in terms of like, when did you start? How much money did you spend last year? What is your process for selecting stuff? I mean, I could see us emailing them and them like writing back like a long response, but I could also see that being like a 7-minute conversation at the meeting, and that would be fine too. So I'll just think more.
Are you looking for just more prompts from us, or?
No, I don't think we need any more
Okay.
prompts. I think we have all the information we need. I guess I'm just thinking process-wise, like, what would be the best way to get this information to them? Like, what we should do? Like, here's our discussion questions for the meeting, and,
I feel like a number of them kind of like overlap and they're related. They're different expressions of the same idea, so
Yeah.
synthesizing that into like, okay,
and that's
the
kind
main
of what
things.
I did.
Yeah.
So that's what I have here. I had the discussion questions that are like based off what the like main themes from what we contributed were: what processes does Truckee use to engage the public and navigate controversy in public arts projects? How does PACT ensure a balance of local and outside artist participation? Are there standing frameworks for project selection, especially in historically sensitive areas? Do they see potential for regional collaboration, like art trails or shared installations? Do they have any models or lessons around sustainable funding and long-term maintenance? And how do they incorporate Indigenous perspectives and communities, in the community history into their public art program? Is there anything like that you feel like is really missing from those key questions? And also, I think it can be like a pretty open dialogue when we're there. Great.
Sounds good to me.
Okay, cool.
I appreciate you doing all that
Yeah, thanks,
work.
Shannon.
I didn't know you were the one who's gonna be going through all of our.
I
either.
love it. I love that. And, I think for me, what strikes me is like, part of this is the Truckee conversation, but part of it is just what's kind of rising to the top for us in terms of what we are thinking about, what our concerns are, and where we could be putting our energy towards some like actionable things, whether it's a master plan, whether it's like a framework for decision-making, or, figuring out possible funding streams. We should talk about that at some point.
I have a question. Did we discuss you doing it at the meeting?
Mm-hmm.
Did? We chose you to do that at the meeting last time? Yep.
2
Yeah.
meetings ago.
Okay. I didn't know who we were turning our responses into and how that was happening.
Well, it was all anonymous, but I asked at the last meeting that I be empowered to take the results and synthesize them into something to bring back to the group so that we weren't reviewing each response live. Cool. Okay, great. Sean, I will email you what I just said. And then I guess you could like,
Can you give it to me in writing instead of?
what?
You actually just said.
Yeah. It'll be good. It'll be formatted.
And I was just gonna say, could we have a reminder of the date, just for everybody, if you don't already have it in the calendar?
Is it
I know
September
I'm asking for
2nd?
somebody else to say it. I know I have it in my calendar, but
September.
It's Tuesday, right, instead of Wednesday?
Yeah.
That's their,
yes,
yeah.
Yeah.
September 2nd. And we said 1, like leaving town at 1?
Are we meeting here and then like all going out?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's replacing our Wednesday meeting, right? Or, because that's
Yeah.
Shannon's
That's what you
birthday.
suggested.
And
You don't have
Kathy's.
to. You certainly can, you could,
Right.
you could reschedule your Wednesday meeting. You could, what I said last time was, unless there's a pending, like, public art application.
Okay.
It really doesn't matter. You can do whichever you prefer, but if we have a pending public art application, that, it'd be good to reschedule it so they don't have to wait another month.
Yeah. Just continuing this conversation, I really feel like the community buy-in in this whole public art process is so important, and that's what I'm really hoping to glean from Truckie's experience. Because it's like, whether it's picking the right location that people are supportive of, or picking the right type of art that the community is excited about. So I'm just thinking about, like, maybe we do another forum or a survey asking the community and local artists what type of public art projects they're most excited about. So we have the community support around that, because it's public art. It needs to be, we can't make everyone happy, but, it needs to feel representative of our community. And hopefully we're also reaching, underserved members of our community as well. It's not just one demographic of people. As well as, I don't know if this exactly falls into our commission's purview, but another thing I really want to understand and gain more feedback around is what our local artists, what type of support they feel is lacking in this community for artists, and how our commission can be a better resource for our artists. Yeah, so maybe that's something else we can ask Truckee.
Yeah, and it strikes me that the way that their commission is set up, right, where it's like disciplines, each person is a discipline, like you have sort of, I don't know, it feels like you have more of like a built-in support structure to be like, speaking for the singers in town, like this is what we are seeing. And we're a little different than that, so we need to, yeah.
Yeah,
be
and
mindful.
there's value in the ways that we are different.
Yeah.
Right? I saw zero mention of the indigenous population in their master plan, except for one
Yeah.
public comment about, I think, the Washoe. And so I'm curious about that. And obviously they're, I have no idea what the politics are there, what
Yeah.
the Washoe want, what, the indigenous tribes of the area. But I think, we're going to learn from the ways in which they're strong in their organization. And then we have valuable things to offer in the ways in which we're doing things differently. So.
And, yeah, I would suggest you probably want to have a little bit of inquiry about how the art scene is different.
Oh,
Because,
absolutely. Yeah.
like, live music here is ubiquitous. Live music there is not so much. They don't have a movie theater. They don't
Yeah.
have a performing arts venue. They don't have, you know what I mean? So it's just a different.
It's a totally different place.
And so what they've been focused on is largely the installation of physical art pieces. Whereas we're just different,
Yeah, I'm not trying to
I
be
say it in a
over.
good way,
I'm trying to be overly critical because we're
No, no.
serving different communities,
Right.
right? But it is curious to me when you're talking about arts and culture to not have the vast history of the tribal population involved in some way. And that might be the choice of the tribal community. I don't know. So,
Yep, and there are newer city, we're
Yeah.
California's 18th city there, California's 412th or whatever, It's not that.
Who's
high.
counting?
It's 300 and something. So there's just gonna be differences, but hopefully we could find ways that, what are the things that they do well and how can we capitalize it, and vice versa? And then what are the things that, that we want to steer clear of. You know, it might work for them, but
Yeah.
it's not the right thing for us.
Absolutely.
Or, you know, or that kind of thing. But like, because the fact that we have the Nevada Theater and we have, you know, 50 violins playing with our painted piano in front of the pizza joint, it's not like we curated that, right? It's not like we, you know, master planned that. That's just because
Yeah.
we're a
Organic
community of
process,
artists.
yeah.
I don't know the exact, or the language I really want to use for this, but it's also like, how do you balance getting community input and community buy-in with not just stalling out? Because of that whole idea of you're never going to make everybody happy. So is it our job to just stop if we can't make everybody happy? Or is it our job and responsibility to, you know, to the art first? And once again, I don't know
That is a
how to
great
actually
question.
put it, but like, because when you start to do things by too large of a committee, meaning the whole
Yeah.
entire
And
public.
it also really is dependent on who shows up and who's able to show up and
Right.
actually have their voice heard. So that's like another, you know, factor of like, wow, we might have a lot of people showing up and expressing one idea, but is that really representative of our community?
Right,
Everyone in the community,
Yeah.
right?
right.
The gal who maybe is the chair who we met with originally, she had said, because, you know, controversy, why do we keep saying that? Controversy came up a lot, like in our comments and also in the discussion we had. And she said something to the effect of like, you know, it washed right over her. She was like, we're not taking into consideration making everyone happy. If people are talking, they're like engaged in discussion, and that is what we're trying to do as the Public Arts Commission. And I was like, that's really cool. And like,
Yeah.
I think, you know, we're green, but how we begin to shape our own discourse around like conflict and knowing that it's impossible to make everyone happy, and where we see our role in creating conversation is really interesting to me.
I have to
Yeah.
disagree with part of what you just said. I really believe we're here as the Nevada City Public Arts Commission, and we represent all of Nevada City, and we don't just throw away what other people are saying and just worry about the artists only. Maybe I'm hearing you wrong.
Yeah.
But I really believe we represent everyone, and we're not going to stall because some, you know, two factions are coming to get at each other or whatever. But I believe really that it's our job to listen to all those factions and try to weave our way through it to something that comes out, not that you just say, heck with you, we don't care. We're letting it go over our head, we're just going to do what we want to do.
Though there have been two projects that we, in terms of like, we have batted, I don't know, maybe we're 1 for 3 or something, well, Champ Gallery. But we have already encountered that, where there have been twice that projects have come to us and they have not happened because of,
Conflict.
yeah. And that could just continue. So I do think it's a balancing, because you said every person in Nevada City, and that's just not going to be possible, especially when you're talking about art, I think. It's,
Is there so many different views and everyone has such different taste, and that's why you love creating art in Nevada County in a nutshell, but also that's what we have to figure out, right?
But not at tonight.
Start
maybe.
shoving it down people's throat, and they're going to push back even harder.
yeah, and then I think it's the
shoving.
definition of what is shoving
Yeah.
something down someone's throat, because I've been hearing a lot of that in June. And, you know, people complaining about that element of the rainbow flags. And does that mean we stop because people are feeling that something is being shoved down their throat? Or is that something to hear and acknowledge and still follow through with what we believe we've been, you know, given this role and responsibility to do? But I love the fact that we have differing ideas to talk about. Like, I appreciate that everyone here sitting on the commission can bring, that we're not just all going, yeah, cool, yeah. I agree with everybody. I like that.
I think change is always going to be scary for some people, and especially as like a historic downtown area, there's like a lot of attachment to a particular vision. And I'm really curious how we can like intersect representing new voices, representing unseen aspects of our history here, of our culture, of the different peoples and narratives that are absolutely a part of this place, and how we can do that in a way that, you know, those get a little bit of attention and vision, and it's not replacing the other history that's here as well.
Yeah,
I think both are possible.
We don't, neither is better than the other, right? We want to be supporting everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. And some things have had their time, they've had their
Exactly.
spotlight, and it's scary when there's like, you know, a new vision in town, but
It
we
also-
can make space.
Exactly, yeah.
Is there anything else in particular in terms of this item for the conversation that we're going to have with the Public Arts Commission in Truckee that someone wants to make sure we remember or think about? Or we feel good about where we're at and you feel okay with
Yeah,
where you're at?
I feel good about where we're at, and are we able to like, yeah, have that go out to commissioners to just validate that what they said is reflected in what we're sending to the Truckee Public Arts Commission?
Yeah, and we can send that to everybody.
advance.
Post
In
it
advance, just to be like, yeah, that feels
Yeah.
good. Okay, sweet.
And then we'll keep working on the kind of the three components of us going up there and having our own guided tour of art installations that they have. And then the meeting, the formal meeting of the joint commission meeting, and then the mixer afterwards. So, you know, that, you know, this largely informs the formal part, you know, the informal part is the informal part
Yeah.
afterwards. And then, but what we can see is gonna be largely based on what they give us and what they recommend and that kind of stuff. But we'll try to get that to you in advance and see if there's, you know, you might be able to pick some over the other.
Right.
We're just limited on
And
time.
I will say, like, we ranked the tour focus as the least important thing out of.
We want to do it.
We want to
It's
do
just
it, but like, yeah, I think, you know,
No,
if
we'd rather hear
it's
what
short
they
and
have to
sweet,
say.
like, the conversation's
Yep,
a
we'll give you
priority.
options for that.
Kathy?
One other thing, I don't know if it, I mean, that I think could be important for us to ask them is from the aspect of have they experienced vandalism with any of their pieces and that kind of thing, and, or, you know, and some of the installations that they gave in the, you know, we had in the packet, do they have any problems with, you know, liability on them, or things, what they look at? And maybe that was in part of the one you read, but, you know, what they're really looking at as far as durability. I'm not quite sure what the word would be.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that fits in well with the long-term, like, maintenance question, but I could
Right.
be more specific about
Just
vandalism, liability,
If
durability.
they have any
something,
examples, so we know what to avoid, that's part of our,
For sure.
what we don't, maybe don't want to follow in their footsteps, if,
Right.
learn from their mistakes.
Totally.
Okay, then if you're good,
I'm
I'm
good.
good, and, oh, yeah, Mira, go ahead.
Can we make requests for future presentations right now?
Yeah, are you on to,
Well, that, yeah,
Or
so we'll
that's-
just go
okay,
to the commissioner and staff liaison reports. So if anybody, Mira, why don't you go first?
I was just wondering, I would love, I don't know if she's available at all, or somebody in the Californians for the Arts organization would be available to give us a presentation. Julie Baker is local. I'd love to hear from her about what's happening in the California broader art scene, what's happening with funding in California. I think it could be a really interesting presentation if
Mayor
she's
was
available.
texting her last night, you might want to ask him.
Adam, help us out. We need a presentation.
All right, California for the Arts, so you're looking for about the organization and.
About the organization, updates,
Land
like, I think
current
she's, she's just
state.
really tapped into the California art scene. I think, we're very focused on Nevada City, but, there's a huge culture of arts in the state, and it would be nice to get a broader understanding of that, so.
For sure. Did you have anything else?
Nope, that's
to
it.
Okay.
We'll add that to the item number 2 on your agenda as something that was requested and, keep putting things in there until we, like, the one from tonight will fall off because, you saw Wolfcraft. Unless you want
Right.
to ask for them again, we can do that.
That was a great presentation.
That was,
Yeah.
Kathy?
Pumpkin project is moving along. I believe we'll be doing a call for artists next, at the August meeting.
Nice.
We have 2 workshops tentatively scheduled, pretty much scheduled for September the 13th and September the 18th at Siemens Lodge. Well, the 18th might not be at Siemens Lodge, it may be at a new facility at the park. And then we're hopefully having the pumpkin auction and all of that on the 13th of October. And if anyone wants to join in and help figure out how we're going to do this, I'll be calling a meeting together with the city, the chamber. So we're all on the same page doing the same thing, planning for it. So if anyone is interested and goes, oh, that'd be fun, and I'd like to help with the artist workshops, or I'd like to help with QR codes on every pumpkin in the merchants' windows, and how we're going to do that. Do they buy the pumpkins or someone else? Interested in? Let me know.
Awesome, great. Thank you, Kathy.
Any reports or comments? I just want to remind everyone that we have a Hot Summer Nights coming up on July 16th, and a first Friday Art Walk, that's actually second Friday Art Walk, due to 4th of July, so next Friday on the 11th. And then also at the Nevada Theater for every Sunday in July, sorry. For every Sunday in July, it's Studio Ghibli in July. So there's movies at 7 o'clock. Tickets are $10. You can just walk up and get them at the door, and that's every Sunday in July. That's my report. So if any staff, anything?
Just to comment that things at the Foundry are moving and in a good way. There's a number of requests for proposals out for the outdoor dining there, for music production there. There's also a request for information, which is basically anybody that might be interested in doing any kind of food, alcohol, or cafe services there, so that the council can decide what they're officially gonna call for there. Also, we'll be moving relatively quickly on a new plan for air conditioning in the facility. That should put it in there before the end of this summer. So at a significantly reduced price tag over what was originally contemplated, which will make that facility a year-round facility and a lot different opportunity for the engagement of this body and what can be done over there. And so that's all coming relatively soon, which is exciting. Not soon enough for some, but pretty quickly in terms of what government usually responds to. So.
And with the air conditioning, you're talking about an actual air conditioning so that it's basically silent versus what the system was. That was
There is no
very
air conditioning there.
well, the swamp coolers, they're really
But that's not air
noisy.
conditioning. I mean, it doesn't lower temperature.
Right.
Just
So this will be
more
a
audio.
silent cooling system.
it'll be a heat
Fairly
air
silent,
conditioning system.
cool.
Quieter than this. This is a ducted system. You'll have splits in there.
Okay, great.
Yeah, so you'll be able to cool or heat a room at a time versus
Yeah.
having a heater cool the whole building.
And anything,
I would just like to reiterate again that we are going to have that painted piano out on the Art Walk next week, and so the community can come out and paint with us. It's fun, we play music, we paint, and I think it's been something that's been a really tremendous thing that we've done to really engage the community. I've heard a lot of great feedback, and we'll be there.
Awesome. Thank you, Brittany.
Yeah.
Thanks, Brittany. Happy to have you.
Okay, then I'm looking for a motion and a second to adjourn.
I motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion from Commissioner Clark, second from Commissioner Harney. All in favor, say aye.